Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. Our guest is Charles Parrish, who is a man of many parts. You know him, I'm sure, in some role or another. Our interest today is the fact that he's Executive Vice President of the Beechcraft Museum. And that's the subject of today's show. And there are two or three very interesting things going on out there. So, and I want to remind everybody this is a private museum, but it's very much open to the public. You're invited and encouraged to come and see it. Prized possession. Well, Charles, welcome, and
thank you, Tom.
Give everybody a short minute or two brief history. I know we've been over this before, but
well, my father and some other gentlemen that had an interest in the stagger wing Beechcraft airplane back in the late 60s, they had a club, and in the early 70s they decided to start a museum, and that's kind of how it all came apart, came to being. Father purchased a stagger wing, which my brothers and I own now, and it's in the museum, and that's kind of how it got started.
Okay, and that was when you opened in
1974. We built a log cabin that we took apart over in the Ross community and erected back on our grounds here, and that was our first building, a log cabin that housed our Louise Staten, an aviatrix display of her artifacts of some of the things that she accomplished back in the 20s in aviation.
Yeah, very good. All right, and you got, as we speak now, you got how much size and how many airplanes?
We are nearly 80,000 square feet under roof, and we have...
that's including your new addition, which we want to talk about.
That's including the new addition. We're right at 60 right now.
Okay.
So, yes.
And number of airplanes?
About 36, and we already have plans to acquire a couple more very soon.
Okay. All of them Beech?
They are all Beechcraft aircraft. That's, you know, Tom, if you don't mind, I would just let me make a couple of comments on that. I think some people are like, what is Beechcraft? I like to describe it like this. You've got your Ford, Chevrolet, Chrysler. In the car industry, Beechcraft is a brand just like one of those.
Sure.
But it's more of the Cadillac or of the general aviation aircraft brand. And they're still in business in Wichita to this date.
Yeah. And been there a long, long time. They were very early pioneers in the airplane business. You're open how many days a week?
I'm glad you asked me that. We are now year-round. We're open on Tuesdays through Saturdays from 8:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon.
Tuesday through Saturday.
All year round now.
Okay. And all right. Well, you gave us the hour, so that's good. And you have guided tours. Or can they take their own tour?
We do under special arrangements. We have guided tours, but it's a self-guided tour.
People are able to come in
right.
and do their own tour. Yeah.
We give them a really good introduction when they come in to sort of get them started, where they have a pretty good indication of what they're going to see. Yeah. If I can, I'd like to mention this. We do have plans of having an automated way that someone can maybe take their personal phone device, walk up to an exhibit in the future, and tell about that. Yeah. We have lots of things planning in the future here on this.
Good. Coming in with a high-tech crowd.
Yeah.
The new techs. All right. Well, then, folks, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and go some more.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, you know.
Everyday Miracles, Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Tired of paying for monthly telephone service, expensive long-distance bills, and all those crazy taxes? Are you sick of spending money on telephone equipment, maintenance contracts, and service calls, all for a phone system that shackles you to 100-year-old technology and your desk? Stop it. It's time to ship your phone system to the cloud. What can the cloud do for you? Bring together remote offices, workers, and employees in the field. Make sure that you'll never miss calls by delivering them to multiple devices. Modernize faxing by allowing multiple faxes to be sent and received at once and delivered to email. Get your voicemail messages instantly through email too. And take advantage of an endless supply of customizable features. Host My Calls can deliver the cloud. All of this technology with low upfront costs and not one penny in capital expense. It's time for a phone solution you'll truly love from Host My Calls. Call the number below.
Our guest today, folks, is Charles Parrish, who is Executive VP of the Beechcraft Museum, which we talked a little bit about. There's an interesting question, Charles. The Beech organization is out somewhere in the Midwest. How did the museum wind up here?
Well, interestingly enough, Mr. Beech was born in Pulaski, Tennessee. That's not really the significance why it's here, but it's primarily here because of the interest of some folks that lived in this area that decided to get the museum going. But I just thought that'd be an interesting aspect of history that might be interesting to people here in Tullahoma.
Yeah, okay, very good. Well, today, folks, we want to cover primarily two subjects. One is that the annual Beechcraft Fly-In is coming up in a couple of weeks, and we want to hear about that. And then they've got a sizable edition going on, and we want to find out what that's all about and when it opens and what they're doing and so forth. So with that, Charles, bring us up to date on the Fly-In.
Well, it'll be our 43rd year we've had the what we call now Beach Party. Early on, it was called the Stagger Wing event, and now, since we are not just the Stagger Wing Museum, we are the Beechcraft brand museum. We call it the Beach Party, and so it's our 43rd year, and we'll have anywhere from 500-600 people from all over the world: Australia, Hong Kong, England, Germany, just to name a few of the countries that are friends of mine that attend this event, and of course all over our states.
The U.S., yeah.
And about 150, 160 airplanes, mostly Beechcraft. But we welcome all brands. We welcome anybody who wants to fly, drive, train, boat, whatever, come in and see us.
They want to come in and join the party.
Yes, sir.
And it's coming up when?
It starts on October the 11th. That's a Wednesday. Most of the arrivals will be then. And then everybody pretty much is departed by Sunday the 15th.
Okay.
So it's October basically of the 11th through the 14th.
So it's three part of 4 days.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's you're not having any particular public events in connection with that. That's primarily for the members of the.
You know, that's a good question. I mean, we are a private museum and we are a sort of a private event. However, you know, there's a day pass price. I think it's $35, and to some people that's pretty expensive. But it gets you out on the flight line.
A day pass.
A day pass, yes.
Okay.
And that does not include any meals that we have planned. But that would allow you to walk out on the flight line, talk to some of the pilots, get a tour of the museum. But again, it is primarily for the folks that have Beechcrafts that are part of our organization that come in, and it's kind of our get-together for the year.
Yeah. I think we probably need to remind folks that the museum is out at the sort of the western end of the airport, and so you can't miss it, but you have to go down to 130, the old Shelbyville Highway, in order to get there. The entrance is on that from that direction. So, okay, and the economic impact of that event. How many did you say you expect? How many?
Well, we'll have 500 to 600 people throughout the 4 or 5 days. So we definitely fill all the hotels up in Tullahoma and the local area.
And
We've even
restaurants.
And restaurants.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much the restaurants due to the fact that we use a catering service for lunch and dinners for our event. However, one of the first time ever, we've encouraged people to come be here on Wednesday as usual, but we're not having an organized dinner that night. And it is sort of a something we can do to say, go out into our community and eat in our restaurants that evening. So that's something new this year.
Yeah. Well, that is sizable economic benefit for that benefits the whole area, not just the museum.
Tom, could I add something else to that?
Sure.
You know, just that one event a year, when you ask about the economic impact to the community, we have numerous flying events throughout the year, whether it be Glider Academy, that's an educational event that we have for the kids to come in and actually get to fly gliders. We have a couple other organizations that come in to spend 2 or 3 days with us. So we like to think that maybe there's 4 or 5 other events throughout the year that we also bring folks from out of town into our community that stay in our hotels.
You need to do a little better job of advertising those.
You know, we're working on that. We just this last year we have a new marketing director, and we've expanded our staff at the museum, and we have lots of new things. I think people are going to really see a difference in the museum and the things we're doing and where we're headed in the next few years.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, let's go on and begin to talk about your addition. The museum, as it stands before the addition, you've got how many square feet and
roughly 60,000 square feet as it stands now. Yes, and we're adding 18,000 square feet right now. This addition is 18,000 square feet.
In one addition, one exhibit area.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, how many exhibit areas do you have?
Well, we have 36 airplanes, so we consider each one of those an exhibit in itself because we usually have a little history about that aircraft in front of it. But we also have a lot of artifacts. Beechcraft artifacts, aviatrix and aviator artifacts in the museum. Matter of fact, there's a pilot license of a lady by the name of Louise Thaden in our museum that has Orville Wright's signature on it. It's her license, which is very significant. And I'm glad you mentioned that because we have a lot of artifacts the Smithsonian would love to have. It's pretty unique in a small community to have what we have in aviation in that museum.
Okay, and you're working, I don't know whether you're there yet or not, you're working on a way for people to, when they do their own tour, to be able to go to an exhibit or to a...
We'd like to. I mean, we have big ideas. We're expanding our Wi-Fi throughout the whole museum in this next year, where you can have Wi-Fi throughout. And we'd like to have it where you can go walk up to a display, show the barcode, it pop up on your iPhone, and it tell you about the exhibit. So these are some of the things that we're thinking about in the future. I'll tell you somebody that's really helped us is last year twice the Commissioner of Tourism, Mr. Triplett, has been to our museum. He's a very big advocate, the State of Tennessee Commissioner of Tourism. Yeah. He's been there to our place a couple of times, and the State of Tennessee has been real helpful to get our name out to the general public and folks out there. We have displays in all the interstate rest stops now, so we've really focused on getting people to get off the highway, come see us. And TripAdvisor has us listed as number 2 next to, I believe, George Dickel in the local area as a go-to place in our community. Out of about 15, we're number 2 now.
Yeah, well, that's good. George Dickel brings in a ton of folks.
Yes.
So if you can get some of those over to see you at the museum, that'll be
There's another whiskey place down the road, too, that helps. And those guys work with us very well as well.
That's true. There are some aficionados who claim this other one down there in the valley that we don't, in the holler, that we don't hear much about is pretty good whiskey.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, okay. All right. With that, folks, let's take a short commercial break and we'll come back and go some more.
Keith Barnett here with the Russell Barnett Automotive family. Over 75% of car shoppers today use the internet to search for their new or pre-owned vehicle. That's why the RussellBarnett.com website is so versatile, where you can check it anytime, all the time, online. You can search through our new and pre-owned inventory by make, model, mileage, or price. We can value your trade-in and get you pre-approved for financing before you even walk in the door. So check out RussellBarnett.com, and remember, why buy anywhere else?
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
It's your trademark. That's something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
We're back, folks, and today we're talking to Charles Parrish, the Executive VP at the Beechcraft Museum. And we have been talking a little bit of the history of the museum and the fact that the annual Beechcraft flying is coming up in October, early October. And we'll have a whole bunch of folks flying in here. We didn't mention the airport is always happy with this event, too, because it's the biggest gasoline sales month that they have of the year. Well, let's Charles, let's begin to look at your addition. You've got 60,000 square feet now, and you're putting a sizable addition to that. Tell us about that.
Well, we actually have numerous buildings that we house our artifacts and our aircraft in, and one in particular is a little closer down to the Highway 130 where our entrance is. It was 18,000 square feet, and we're doubling it to 36,000 square feet, and so it's a $2 million project. And I would like to mention this if I could. Whenever we do a project, we raise twice the money that it's going to cost to build it, just to make sure that we can take care of it once we build it. I think a lot of people don't think about the planning in the future. I mean, it costs to own something and keep it maintained.
Sure.
So, and it's all private funds. We do not accept any local, state, or government grants. It's all
strictly
personal donations.
Yeah. So you raised $2 million?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're about 82% there on that $2 million fundraising drive.
Okay.
Already.
Included in that, you got some sizable domes?
Well, actually, this particular project was orchestrated by a gentleman by the name of Harold Boss down in the Atlanta area. He donated $1 million himself to this project.
Wow.
Yes, he's quite an individual, and he loves the museum and wants to see it continue to grow.
Yeah, he's been with you for quite a while, hasn't he?
Yes, sir. He's been a member of our organization for about 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. Okay. Well, tell us then about your addition. That's and maybe we can see a picture or two of it. You're adding 18,000, I think you said, square feet?
Yes, and the way we designed the building early on, we had a phase 1, a phase 2, and what we're doing now is the phase 3 portion of this building. So we always kind of had a game plan to expand this, and that's what we're doing now.
And the addition in the picture you were seeing, folks, is that blue-green roof. And,
those are my aerial shots, by the way. I took those flying and taking a picture at the same time. Not bad, huh?
No, with your cell phone?
With my cell phone, yeah, out of a little J3 Cub.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. So. Okay, and what's the when do you expect to open the addition?
Well, we better be open by the beach party event in October, because we're having a dedication dinner that evening.
A dedication, too.
And Mr. Boss will be there with about 25 of his guests and family members, and it'll be a big party. And
I'd say you better be ready.
Yeah. We're going to have it in there regardless. So if we have generators going, we're going to have it.
All right. So
I might add, Saint Construction in Manchester, they were the ones that are constructing this building. They've done an outstanding job for us. They're great partners, and a little plug for them there, if you don't mind.
No, fine. Okay. Well, and so you're going to open, and what will be exhibited there? Is it anything in particular, or are you just moving things around?
Well, like during some of the chamber events we have in January, I think most people in the community know we're very packed right now. So I think a lot of our watching audience will recognize we need to spread out. And it's hard to see an airplane in a museum if they're all packed together. You can't get a true view of what it looks like. You can't get good photographs of it. So we really want to focus on our displays within our museum, spread things out, have better information about the aircraft. And I want to be careful not
just... You need to be able to walk around it.
Right,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely.
And then also from time to time we have events, and we can have an event with not having to move the airplanes very much to set up tables, if you will. So we're not just so compact, and that's our plan.
Well, I know you've always had one area from the beginning, a big area over there that didn't have airplanes. It had your stagger wings in it, but it also was big enough that you could have events over there. I've been to a dinner or two out there myself, yeah. Right.
So we have big plans to move some things. We may have a military section display, some of our Beechcraft military aircraft. We have some that have aircraft that have been around the world a couple of times. We may want to put those together in a display together. And so those are just some of the ideas. And we're working on the appearance of our inside of our museum as well. Just want it to look quality. Beechcraft's a quality name, and we want to follow that same lead, be a quality museum.
Talk a little bit about the Beech family themselves, and they've been fairly well involved in your project as well, have they not?
Well, they have, but they haven't necessarily financially, but we don't want them to or haven't asked them to. Early on, when we went to Mrs. Beech, I say we, my father and some of the other gentlemen, and said to Mrs. Beech, we'd like to start a museum. Her first comment, she was running Beechcraft Corporation at the time. She says, I don't know. Most people have big ideas, but they don't follow through with them. And we said, no, ma'am, we were just asking for your blessing to do this. And 2 years later, after we built it, she actually came to Tullahoma, Mrs. Beech did, and saw the facility. So we've always had kind of the Beech's support since then. They've given us a lot of artifacts. Of course, the Beech family, no longer owns it. Textron Aviation now owns Beechcraft and Cessna. One of they own two of the brands out there, but they participate, and they're bringing a brand new Cessna to display and a couple of brand new Beechcrafts to display during Beech Party. So very much involved with our organization, and some of their executives will be here as well.
Who's that? Textron?
Textron Aviation, yes.
Yeah, that's not a household word. Okay, and you're opening then. You're going to, one way or the other, you're going to dedicate it during the fly-in, and so now you're going. You have 36 aircraft now, and you got some more coming up.
Well, we want to be very cautious. We have a lot of folks that call us about donating their aircraft, but we want to be very cautious not to just take anything and everything. We want it to have significance. For instance, we're having a new aircraft that's going to be donated during the Beech Party, and it's an example of a prototype that were built. There was two of them that Beech built that never actually sold them to the consumer, but they tested them and considered it, and it's a very unique aircraft that we're going to have in this museum. It'll be a great new addition.
It's one of a kind.
It's a one of a kind, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I don't remember hearing very much about the military side. Tell us a little bit more about that. What were there with those aircraft?
Well, Beech was very instrumental in designing and building training aircraft primarily, not necessarily fighter or assault or bombers that actually went out and into the combat zone, but they supported it by a lot of training type of aircraft, and still are. So we have some of those airplanes in our museum.
Okay. All right. Well, we want to talk a little bit about the future. You got a 30 seconds worth on the future. What's out there that you see? We
want to grow, and we want to grow our quality as well. We have a new management running the museum now. We're very well supported by our membership. We've added a new marketing director this year. She was very instrumental in getting our relationship with the state of Tennessee and Mr. Triplett, the Commissioner of Tourism, as I mentioned. And so we're working hard just to we've kind of been private and kind of out here on the south end of the airport and kind of quiet through the years, and we're getting ready to get a little more loud and a little more open, and I mean that in a respectful way.
A little noisier. Huh?
Well, we just want to let people know who we are and attract more into our community.
I agree. That would be very desirable. Well, with that, folks, we have run out of time, as we usually do. Let's take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and wrap up.
Buying a vehicle can be hard. It's even harder if you have poor credit health. But let the team here with Dr. Credit at Russell Barnett Kia help you. With our guaranteed credit approval process, we can help you find your next vehicle. But don't just take that from me. Here's a few of our customers and what they had to say.
They said they could approve us, and then the next thing was how much monthly. I thought it was going to be way too much. And sure enough, he did it what we asked for, what we needed it to be. He did it within. He will help you out.
Schedule your appointment with Dr. Credit at Russell Barnett Kia so you can drive away happy.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We're back, folks, and we've been talking with Charles Parrish, and we've been looking at the Beechcraft Museum. The fly-in's coming up. The museum is growing, and Charles, you got a word you'd like to speak direct to the audience out there?
Well, sure. We're proud to be in this community. The Beechcraft Heritage Museum was opened in 1974. Been kind of a quiet museum, sort of specific to a particular type of aircraft, but we're finding very quickly that folks want to know about us. We've worked hard this year to get out and let folks know that we exist. We're in the rest stops, have flyers and rest stops on the interstates, and we actually doubled our off-the-street attendance to our museum. We're open year-round now on Tuesdays through Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And we're just excited to be a part of this community and come see us.
Good. And you're plugging in statewide and otherwise to see if you can get some more folks out there. Yeah, as I say, I think it's one of our prized possessions and one that we don't hear enough about. So I'm glad you're beginning to market a little more actively. That's super. And you got you're beginning to have more events than the fly-in. Yes.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any particular number? Well, that's all the time we have anyway. So, yeah. Charles, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you, folks, for inviting us into your parlor. We will see you next time.